Good evening. Welcome to our show this evening. I'm Carol Paz, your hostess for Women to Women, and we have a special friend who's returning to the program because she has a brand new adventure, and we're going to talk about that. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsors for this first half, Villa Basque Cafe, right here in Carson City, home of Pete's famous Basque chorizo, which is delicious. We'd also like to thank Carpa Nevada LLC, importer of fine Portuguese olive oils, aged balsamic vinegar, and international health teas. And then there is carsonnow.org, a great friend to this program. Anything that's happening here in Carson City, go to carsonnow.org, and it's right there very quickly. And we'll also just like to mention that you can like us on Facebook. You can see any of our past episodes also on carsonnow.org. So now let's introduce our special guest, Lori Bagwell. Lori, welcome again.
Oh, Carol, thank you so much
for
the opportunity.
You are welcome.
Really
She's an old friend, and she's been on our program before, but she's in a brand new adventure now. However, for those viewers who might not be familiar with Lori's background, let's just kind of refamiliarize our viewing audience. Lori, you grew up where?
Right here in Carson City.
Okay,
she's my home.
A native and a longtime business lady here with a lot of government experience also in Nevada. And I'm thinking, Lori, as you review us on some of the positions that you've held here in Carson City, which is the capital, of course, that this has prepared you for your next adventure very well. What are some of those positions that you've held?
Well, I worked for the Department of Taxation, specifically in the local government unit, learning about taxation laws and how the local governments needed to comply with Budget Act.
Which means she's very good with numbers, and she is.
Thank you. I love numbers. Yes. Anyone that knows me would know that. Yeah. And then I worked for the State Budget Office, where I was responsible for reviewing and recommending budget items to the governor.
Also here in Carson City.
Also here in Carson City. I worked for Child and Family Services. I worked for Department of Motor Vehicles and Public Safety. And then I ended my career at the Department of Corrections as the Deputy Director of Support Services.
That's a very impressive background, especially for internal leadership. Sometimes those are positions that are not as well known publicly as they are within the government or within the correction system. But you're also a business lady.
When I retired, I decided to, again, Carson City is my home. It's been good to me, and I couldn't think of anywhere else that I wanted to be. And so my husband and I opened up Charlie's Grilled Subs at the Carson Mall. And
you know, I think it's very healthy when a native-born person who hasn't come in from another state, and I'm not putting that situation down, those circumstances down at all, but it's very special to have a native-born individual who has that background and experience in working with public officials, working within private business, and working with public records to now seek another position, which is?
I would like to represent Carson City as the Ward 3 Board of Supervisors.
Okay, this means some real strong decision-making on your part, thinking things over. Can you share with us, Lori, what are maybe one or two, even three of the major ideas, the major inner drawings towards this position? Why are you seeking it?
Well, I've been going to the Board of Supervisors meetings for years, watching the interaction between staff and board members, and reviewing the agenda items and the support material for the agenda items. And more often than not, I'm really disappointed with the material that's submitted to make decisions.
All right, now when you say the material, what are you referring to?
Well, the staff will present items for board consideration, and they put those on the website for the public to review.
Okay.
And when I look at the data, I'm disappointed often on how they're even able to make decisions without supporting documentation.
Okay, you want the facts to be there.
I do.
Support.
I do. I think that oftentimes people are swayed by emotion instead of being swayed by the facts and the figures. So I'm definitely a facts and figure kind of person.
Okay, and you know, Lori, and correct me if you think I'm wrong here, but I think there's a tendency among the American public to kind of gloss over the facts. Somebody else is going to take care of that. We don't do our homework, and this is just my opinion.
Correct.
But I'm thinking in all kinds, not only of elections, but in responsible work to someone who's an upper level from us, I want to come prepared.
Absolutely.
I want to have my facts, my ducks lined up, so that there's a logical presentation and there's a reason behind it. But my reasoning has to be based upon facts to see that through. And I think that as a nation, we've kind of fallen short of that in recent decades. That's a long period of time.
I think that's definitely what I've seen. I know how hard it was to accomplish anything new in the state government arena without truly documenting the pros and the cons. And I think that that's something unique that maybe I can bring to the city level, is that we truly ask, what's the downside? I think that everything is presented to the upside, but not the downside, and that it's our responsibility as supervisors to make sure that the public is protected.
And I think the public really wants that protection, and they are appreciative of it. Not all of us, and I include myself because I'm a pretty good researcher, and I take time to read a lot of things, but I'm also putting myself in that category of people that sometimes I allow time to go by when I should have been using it wisely. It wouldn't have taken a lot of time on my part to research this. However, I'm counting on someone else to do it, and that's the wrong attitude to have.
I think that's probably what I'm going to bring to the Board of Supervisors. I kind of have the saying that others have had, but you trust what the staff has given you, but I really believe in independent research to verify what you're doing.
Can I ask you, or I'd like to ask you this, what are some of the issues that, or some of the things coming down the pike, coming down the road, that need to be scrutinized from your point of view carefully?
Well, I look at, I think that for me, some of the things that I've seen in the city is contracts. I think that tends to be a weakness that they have, that they don't look into the long-term impact of what that contract means. And I keep continually hearing issues that, we didn't do something right 5 years ago, and we didn't do something right 3 years ago, and now the taxpayer is paying the price for those poorly constructed contracts. I have a lot of experience in contracts. At the Department of Corrections, we wrote over 250 contracts a year.
A year?
A year.
Oh my goodness.
A lot of contracts. And so I've gotten a really good feel for things that you need to watch out for, that I think the Board of Supervisors, again, like you said, relies upon staff to bring them a good product. But I think it's incumbent upon the board members to truly study those contracts and look for what's my impact 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, and 10 years.
And you're putting yourself, if you should win this candidacy, this position, into a very responsible chair, into a very responsible level. And I've always felt, whether I'm in a classroom or whether I'm in charge of something, that it's my job to make sure that I know as much as possible about that, because people are going to be coming to you as they came to me, as they've come to you in the past. And those other individuals need to know that I've done my homework, that they're talking to someone who's thinking about everything they say, evaluating it, processing it through. And that makes me feel very encouraged when I hear your voice saying that you feel that is, that responsibility toward the public is inherent with you.
Oh, it's the whole point of my candidacy is to recognize that the people matter most. My family lives here, my brother, my sister, my parents, my best friends, people that I graduated from high school right here in Carson. I feel a huge responsibility to make sure. I don't want to let them down. There's no doubt about that. I'm also, I am wise enough to recognize I'm not going to make every decision correctly, but I will do the best that I can with the information, and I will find more information than what's provided to me so that I can have a good baseline for my decisions.
Okay, why do you think that you have a great math background and you have math ability, and how do numbers bring a difference to a candidacy like this?
I think something that is unique about me is, and I think I've shown this over the past few years, is I'm probably one of the rare audience members at the Board of Supervisors meetings that goes the step beyond, that I've actually called staff. I've actually gone into the office to ask for more information, actually met with staff to look at the financial documents.
And is it forthcoming?
You know what? I will say that I think the staff at Carson City try very hard to answer your questions, and they've always been responsive.
Okay.
I think, again, there's the line of, do we give them too much information or not enough information? And I would vote for give me more information. And I know that that can mean you have to wade through more paper or more things online, but I just think it gives you a stronger decision base. I look at budgeting, you know, even though the law states you only have to do it at the little rolled up levels, services and supplies and salaries, I don't want to see it that way. I want the line item detail. I really believe if you watch the pennies, the dollars will take care of themselves. And oftentimes I hear people say, well, that doesn't matter, it's only $250. But I completely disagree. If I fix the $250, suddenly we have 100,000. And so I think I bring that different perspective to the process.
And that's where that uniqueness with numbers fits in, because whether we're talking pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, whatever it is, you're interested in the change. You're interested in what makes, you know, how much is this? How much can we save? How much down the road is it going to save us? All those things are extremely important to the success of a project here in Carson like anywhere else.
Well, and I think often that all we hear is we don't have any money to accomplish this. We can't do it. We can't do it. Well, I think there might be money there that you can do things with, but I think that the Board of Supervisors needs a vision and a goal that the city supports, that the public supports.
And we're going to come right back to what you think that is in just a moment. Don't go away.
Come to the Carson Horseshoe Club for fun and friendly service. Play your favorite games. Join our Players Club, where you get cash for points plus food comps, and enjoy casual dining in our Lucky Horse Grill. Get it all in the heart of downtown Carson City at the family-owned, local favorite Carson Horseshoe Club.
I was 36, wanted to do something that was boldly different. We sold our house and drove west with the idea that we were going to be in the wine industry. We lived in a teepee for 2 months.
I mean, if you're going to do something, why not do it with your whole heart?
It's that creative outlet of being able to make something, and make something that comes from the land. Bank of the West said, we have complete faith in your brand. Don't do anything to compromise it. Banks don't say things like that.
Apex SEF provides cutting-edge, hands-on training that effectively addresses today's threats of violence.
The Apex Stay Alive course teaches proven methods for personal protection and attack countermeasures that can be applied in any environment. In your home, at the workplace, or on campus, Apex will teach you the necessary skills to stay alive, including how to recognize and react to an active shooter scenario.
If you knew you had to fight for your life tomorrow, would you train today? Contact us now to sign up for a class in your region.
Hi, I'm Stephen Lincoln with CarsonCityHomes.com, Carson City's original online real estate resource.
At CarsonCityHomes.com, you get effective and easy-to-use tools to help you select your next home today. With our easy-to-use website, you can search listings throughout Northern Nevada and narrow the results by selecting every facet, quirk, and quality you desire. Visit CarsonCityHomes.com.
How would you feel if a fire broke out in your home and you couldn't hear the smoke alarm? Especially if it's someone you love. Visit ReadyWashO.com to receive a smoke alarm that is specially designed for the deaf and hard of hearing. These smoke alarms send a wireless signal to a receiver that gives you strobe and vibration notification.
Local fire departments urge everyone to be prepared.
Visit ReadyWashO.com to help assure the safety of your family.
In business for over 5 years, Play Your Own Music offers music lessons from the best quality music instructors in the area. We also offer band instrument rentals, guitar repair, and we have a recording studio on site. Call us at 885-PLAY.
Welcome back to the second half of our show. We're here with Lori Bagwell, and we're about to get into some pretty feisty conversations, all right? But first, I'd like to thank our sponsors for the second half, the Horseshoe Club Casino right here in downtown Carson City. It's historical, it's family-owned, it's local, it's at the center of the city. It's a fun place to visit. Do stop in. And we'd also like to thank Dr. Kent Gabriel, noted plastic surgeon here in Northern Nevada. Very fine, one of the finest of the finest, okay? So don't hesitate to call him when you're thinking about that very special eating routine that you'd like to be on, or that you have some physical or even emotional situation to talk over with him. He's one of the best. So let's get back to Lori right now. Lori, we left off with you're feeling, okay, that there needs to be a vision here for Carson City, and long-term visions with a good look at long-term contracts as to how they face the public, how the public is going to respond to these things. So let me ask you this. Okay, in your running for the supervisor of Ward 3, what is a vision or visions that you specifically have that you would like to introduce or have people think about very carefully before this election comes up?
Well, some of the things I look at is, like, right now there's a proposal for a 1/8 cent sales tax that's out there to do the downtown corridor project, the Mac Center, and the animal shelter.
Okay.
And one of the things that I asked those currently serving on the board is, I don't understand why we don't already have a priority list. That if we're a city and money becomes available during the year, or we got done with last year and have some dollars left over, why isn't that priority list already established? And I don't understand that.
That's an interesting question.
And then the other question to them was, which one's first? If I only have $10 million available, which one is it? And do I really have to raise a tax? And that, to me, probably is the number one issue for me, is I've always learned that if I have a vision or a goal, I can drive my decisions to that goal. And I don't see the city doing that. And so I'm interested in helping the public, and with the public's input, telling us what the most important thing is for the city. If it's an animal shelter, I think we can get that built without a tax increase.
Okay.
And then we can tackle the next project. Of utmost concern to me right now is the city has 10-cent tax rate left. Okay. And I believe they're going to be looking to raise our taxes again on our property taxes. And I just don't think the public's got the wherewithal to pay that right now. I look at it, I'm concerned with 4 more water and sewer rate increases on their way to us.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I think people do not realize that the Board of Supervisors voted in 5 increases. 5 annual increases. And I'm hearing all over town how upset people are over their water and sewer bills today. I don't think they realize they're going to be raised 4 more times.
Okay, so Lori, let me ask you this then. Is there going to be an opportunity for this kind of discussion to take place with the public before your candidacy, before the elections?
Yes, I've been doing meet and greets, and I'm happy to do meet and greets with anyone that would like to. I'll talk to clubs, groups. I'm going to start my door knocking campaign.
Okay.
I'm going to have a open house at Glen Eagles on March 3rd. I'm going to file for office on March 3rd, and then have a coming out party.
Okay.
And I hope that the public will come and talk to me about what they truly believe the issues are.
And sometimes it has to take the hitting of the pocketbook. of the wallet before you finally get people's attention. And again, I'm saying the public really has very little reason to complain if they're not out there finding out what the facts are, getting the information, and then talking about it within their families, with their neighbors, with their friendships, because that's what can make a difference in how we live.
Absolutely. Being a small business owner, I'm fortunate. People will come in from all walks of life. They come in, they sit down, they have a sandwich, and we have a big round table that we kind of sit down and talk about what's going on in the city.
Yes.
And so I think I'm very in touch with what the general public feels. And I'm concerned. I'm vastly concerned that I don't want to be, Reno right now is in this situation of being worried about bankruptcy, and I'm like, oh my goodness, we don't want to get that way. And so I look at the dollars that the city has as if they were my own.
And that's probably, it would have been an excellent role model for the federal government.
Yeah. What if this was your mother's money? What if this was your brother's money, your sister's money? And I think I bring that perspective. This is my home. This is where I grew up. I want it to be vibrant. And I do believe in growth. But again, if the city would just make the decisions on anything extra, any dollars that come in above what is budgeted, what's the goal of their expenditure, and put a percentage in the bank to savings and a percentage towards the growth.
Okay, I have a question also, Lori. Earlier had mentioned that sometimes monies that are there can get placed someplace else, they get lost, they get forgotten about. Does that happen usually on a regular basis with many organizations or places where you have worked, that there actually is money, but sometimes we have to take a harder look at where it went, where it's been put, how much is actually available?
In government, the thing about it is a lot of your dollars are concentrated for certain activities. The donor or the grantee, or someone will say, for instance, in Carson City, the taxpayer said that we could have 1/8 of a cent for open space. And so much could be used in recreation and so much in buying open space property.
So they come with some strings.
They comes with strings. Now, what is unique, however, is the interpretation of those strings, and how we then look to transfer money or spend money out of any given source that we can. So a perfect example would be the V&T Railroad project.
All right.
We took out did 1/8 of a cent sales tax, and we used that sales tax to support a bond to build the V&T. The sales tax revenue did not come in with enough money to pay the bond payments.
Okay.
So then the city was forced to say, where are we going to get the money to make up that payment? Where they took it from is the tourism dollars. So when you rent a hotel room, there's a tax, a 10% tax.
A biggie.
A biggie. And that's where they ended up getting the money to pay the difference of the bond because the projections weren't solid.
Okay.
And, we had an economic downturn. And that's what I meant by long-term contracts, and trying to put enough away in the bank for the what ifs and just have a cushion there. And so I find them looking for where they can fund things that was never intended. I don't think it was ever intended to have a hotel tax pay for a railroad.
And what I hear you saying also is that in the downturn, when the economy went south, we were dependent upon tourists, people coming in from all over the country to visit, this incredible state that we have here with the Lake Tahoe and the mountains and all the beauty. But if they're not coming because of financial costs, then those hotels are not being able to take in the 10% hotel tax that they once did. And
no sales tax is generated in any of our local businesses either, because they're not eating.
Right.
They weren't eating with me. They're not going to a movie theater. They're not going clothes shopping. They're not spending any dollars.
Right. So in the long run, it has not proven itself worthy of what was originally intended.
Correct.
Okay. So how can things like that, I think I hear you saying we have to look in other areas for income that might be already there usable, we can put it into special accounts where it draws an interest, or where we are saving it for a special project. But we have to have a list of priorities that makes sense, that if this money becomes available, then on that list, what is the top thing that we can do with that money? And it will make a difference for the public. It will make a difference for all of us.
Well, that's what I really do believe. I think that you have to have a list, you have to have a set of priorities, and then you have to live with it. I think the other thing I've noticed that Carson City does, it appears we pay for plans, we do things, and then they sit on a shelf and they never get implemented, but we paid money for it. And somehow we keep changing the priority. Well, you can't accomplish anything if you change the priority every 4 or 5 years.
So we need to have a long down the road vision, goals that are set up. And that takes a special kind of insight. It takes experience working within institutions where long-range goals have had to be made. And you as you say, you have to live by those and then learn the lessons from the decisions that you've made.
Well, and it's difficult when something is current and facing you, and you have people asking for help to have to tell them no, because we're saving for project X. That's our priority. Maybe it's the animal shelter. That's certainly a project in Carson City that may need to be addressed. And so it's hard to tell someone else no that thinks their project is just as important. But again, you have to set the priorities.
I have kind of a final question here. It's encompassing. You're involved and have been involved in so much of Carson City's actions. Does this, now taking on another role, let's say that you win that seat, how is that going to affect you personally or family-wise or business-wise? Are there any, do you just keep pushing your boundaries further and further out? How do you work with that?
I think for me, it's like the bigger the challenge, the more exciting that it is. And you do have to I'll have to reset my priorities of the day, but I've been attending the Board of Supervisors meetings for years, so I am prepared already. I have worked that into my schedule for years to go to the Thursday board meetings. I love to read and research, and I'll just change that to be on items dealing with Carson City and the board agendas. So I'll refocus slightly.
You know, one of the many things that you're saying, I experienced back in New York when a friend of mine was going to be running for the school board. And she attended every single school board meeting for 4.5 years. There was nothing that this lady did not know that they were discussing working with. And she won the election and went on eventually to become the board president. And how effective she was. She did a whale of a job because she had done her homework. And I think in a small community or a large community, when your name is out there and you're standing not just for the quality of the work that you want to accomplish with a staff, but it's for the benefit of the public, and they really are going to see and feel those benefits. You're a winner with us.
Oh, thank you.
You're a winner with us because it's rare, but there are those individuals that I have a great deal of respect for in local government and in federal as well as state. But at the same time, it's because they have put their whole heart. And there's a lot of sacrifice on that. And there will be for you if you win this position, which Women to Women wishes you the very finest and the very best in the future on that.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much for being with us again. And we'll have you on again, okay?
All right.
Hopefully as that new supervisor of Ward 3.
Oh, thank you very much for your support.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Take care and have a good evening out there. And we'll be back next week with a brand new guest. Take care.